you know, looking at your website, so their shoes, and like, well, all right, what got
They
on
need to
there,
get
right?
into that first solid
Step one, got the shoes.
Yeah, because you never know if they're going to have your size in when you absolutely need them, right?
Right.
Yeah! You're ready. All right, well, first of all, I want to thank you all for choosing to get one of these kits. And, so I appreciate that very, very much, and I look forward to see you guys being complete and have a real strong, big garrison of animated clones. That's going to be pretty cool. So this is the animated series armor. Basically, most of the parts are ABS, except for the helmet. It is a rotocast helmet. So the trimmings and so forth are a little bit different on the helmet than on the armor. What do you guys like to use? Dremels or X-Acto knives? What's your kind of preference as far as trimming?
X-Acto knife if it's flat and straight, yeah.
As long as you cut your finger open like I do.
Okay. Shears, me and John use shears because some of the curved lines are really hard to get into.
And then you go back and sand it? Okay,
Right.
so those are all options. There's several options as far as the assembly. Depending on your size, I designed this so that it has a lip inside here where you could put the glue and be able to join the two halves together. And what I would recommend is then taping the other side and see if you can slide this on with pretty much ease. If you can, then you might want to go ahead and consider gluing both sides. If not, then you leave the right side open for Velcro. The reason why I say the right side is this shallow area here is a little bit deeper recessed than this side. I did on purpose just to try to keep a nice closed look if you decided to use the Velcro. So it's the right side is the side you'd want to put Velcro on the cod assembly, the ab assembly, and the chest and back assembly. So basically, for instance, if you can see this line, and then there's no step, what I call a connection flange. This is basically that you know this is where you're going to trim it. If it has the recessed area, the connection flange, you want to keep that on there, and that's the part that you're going to be using for gluing or Velcroing. Same kind of thing on the lower areas. It has that, or if it's just if it's smooth, then that's where you're going to want to just cut it. I try to make the lines pretty well defined, so you can look at all the parts here. It has all the lines where you need to follow as far as trimming it. Okay. What I like to do is I like to use a carpenter's knife. Carpenter's knife is nice and strong. It doesn't have quite as much of a fragile blade as the X-Acto. Okay. Your key thing is if you're going to be cutting it, the whole thing is the score and snap method. Okay. What that means is you want to try to give a nice clean score of the knife. Don't try to cut all the way through with one pass. Just score it. Okay. Once you put the score through, you can pretty much just snap this stuff off. So it's all about just having a nice steady hand, taking your time, taking the blade, and following the line. And then you go through. If you have to cut some of this away so that it breaks a little bit easier, go for it. I'd recommend to go through with the pencil first. Go all your lines with the pencil first, so you know exactly where you're going to be needing to cut. This way you don't accidentally overcut something. So the trimming method is pretty much the same for all the parts. There's going to be the lines that indicate exactly where you need to trim, okay? And it's going to be same thing here, but then again we've got this recessed area here with the three lower recessed areas. I'll explain what those are for, and the outside here. I'm going way too fast, and I think I'm jumping through this a little too much for you, huh?
No, you're fine.
No, doing good. Okay. Let me go back. Let me start over again.
Talk for all you guys.
All right. So I'm going to explain back again what we talked about is probably more of the order of assembly. I like to start with the cod and the butt. That's why I picked this one up first. Because once you can kind of figure out where your mid-frame, is and how that's going to fit, this is going to be your key reference to build the armor so that it looks proportionate from head to toe. Okay? Because you can't help but whatever your size is in the mid, that's what you are. So you want to work with that. After you've done this, then of course you want to jump to the ab and kidney. Okay? And again, the same thing where you're going to trim off the excess from the front. The back part is where it's recessed, so that's where you're going to put your glue. Put the two halves together. This side you want to Velcro. Okay. This is pretty standard stuff. If you're feeling a little bit on a thinner side and you want to actually remove a little bit more from the front to bring it a little bit tighter in, that's probably going to help you, give you a little bit more movement. So a lot of this is kind of like double checking. I mean, I give the lines on where I think you should probably be trimming it, and it will fit together if that's where you trim it, but if you want to give yourself that little bit of extra room, trim it on the side of where it's relatively flat. Okay, don't cut off your connection flanges there.
John, how much did you trim off of yours?
Quite a bit.
About a quarter of an inch?
Off
The total circumference?
I got an inch for me.
About an inch?
Yeah, mine's pretty tight. I did mine pretty tight.
Okay. But whatever you do on the left side, repeat on the right side so that you don't end up with the slightly off to one side. So keep it even, keep it consistent.
And it is really long because you will take out.
Yes, that's what I was gonna say. So don't worry about the length of the ab piece. Don't worry about that yet. Okay. This is all depending on how tall you are. For instance, once you get this fully completed, all right, you're putting this thing on, and you've got your chest on. That's when you're going to determine where you're going to be cutting the bottom half of this on. So the ab and the kidney will already be assembled, and it's a little tricky to cut a nice line all the way across, but you'll need to do that. And if I could show you, let's see, you got. Where's your John? Where's your mid? Your
That's my mid.
I mean your ab and I'm sorry, your cod and butt.
Shows your butt.
That's your show.
That's a different show. All right. So we're gonna jump ahead. So once the two parts are together, part of the suspension system requires you to put tabs on the inside.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of see that in there?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so those tabs is what's going to hold the suspenders. All right. So, considering the tabs come up pretty high, it will not allow this to sit all the way down. If you hold that for me for a second. So he's had it trimmed quite a bit off, as you can tell from the master pull here. If I lay him on top of each other here, you see how he's already cut that much of it off.
Wow.
Okay. This is so that it will sit down inside here. Because you want it just a little bit past the belt, so it gives the illusion it kind of continues, and it helps you so you can kind of stay in place. It won't jump up and bite. You don't want that while you're trooping. You want it to really be able to stay inside. So once this is fully assembled, so you know exactly where these clips need to be, where your suspenders need to be, where your chest and your back fits, and the other key thing is you want to make sure. You want to make sure that this groove line here sits nicely in the groove line of the chest, okay? Because that's what's going to give your look. So once you know this is in place, then that's where you're going to determine how much to cut off here. All right? That's kind of like, this is like your second step in the assembly, but your final step in making sure everything is fitting right to you as far as your height goes. So just kind of try to get that. It's a little tricky, you know. You're gonna do little pencil lines, and you're gonna try it on again. You're gonna make sure you've got your suspenders adjusted exactly where you want them, and the mid section does sit up really high. It's because your thighs are so high and so forth. So once you know that you're comfortable with that, you've got your shoes on, so that you know your legs are on the right adjustments as well. Then that's when you want to cut your ab piece. So.
I mean, when the legs are finished and the cod area is done, you should have, if not the same, if not more flexibility than you do in a TK. I mean, I can lift my knee all the way up.
That's a bold statement right there. All right.
I mean, I was like going up and down stairs in Santa Cruz, changing area. You know, I almost was running up the stairs because I could. I mean, so I have more flexibility in that because I mean, the cuts on the thighs do go higher, but then the whole thing rides up actually a lot higher. So if it's cut right, you can actually like fly.
Can you sit down actually?
I haven't tried because I just don't want to crack it, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because assembly is all in one piece, right? Theoretically, I could.
Okay.
But you probably wouldn't want to.
I probably wouldn't want to.
Yeah, that's good.
So this is, since we're kind of into the suspensions of it, this is part of the vest kit. Okay, so we've got the vest, we've got the thigh straps, which are kind of at like a upside down V with the Velcro already attached to that. Then you've got the T-straps that this will hold on your shoulder bells and your biceps, and then the suspenders. So this is part of the suspension strap vest kit. What this is set up is so that in the ab, John's already put his Velcro in place, And on the part itself, it's already predetermined for you. If you look at it, you can kind of see
Oh yeah.
the long rectangles in the mold itself. It's a little harder to see on this side, but you can kind of figure out where it is. That's where you want to put the Velcro, and it's also determined on the kidney area. So that's already pre-figured out for you. So it makes it a lot easier to make sure that you're lining up the vest. So you put the vest in. Let's start with the front. The sides. Oh, he's cut his in quite a bit, so it doesn't quite. But here's just that. Here we go. All right, so this now is another piece that you should have before you cut your ab, you know, because this is what's going to hold on to your body. Then you've got your chest, and then that's going to give you your total length. In the animated series, you can kind of see that they got like an undervest piece. When they kind of move around, you kind of see through their chest and their backs. So that's what this is supposed to give, that same final extra detailed look
Okay.
of the vest. And then it becomes functional because
I like the pocket.
exactly. Nice. The Velcro, and it's, you know, Velcro's closed, so you can't lose everything or anything, hopefully. Multiple purposes. We use the pocket for your amp system. You can put your wallet in there, your keys, or I mean whatever you want. So
if it's an iPhone.
if it's not, yeah. So I mean, it's a pretty good sized pocket. So you know, it gives you a little storage space in the costume. And I know that's always been a kind of key thing for me when done different costumes. It's like, who's gonna hold your stuff? Who's gonna hold your keys? Who's gonna? Yeah. So it's already, that part's figured out. In addition, for storage space, I've actually made the boxes functional. So there's a back half and then the front half, and it comes with hinges. So this is all part of the kit. So it comes with these hinges for you, so that you can make the boxes fully functional and be able to open it up and keep some stuff in there too.
Awesome.
As far as keeping it closed, you know, it's up to you if you want to put Velcro or magnets. I use Velcro, so if you put magnets, then you can't use credit cards or anything of that nature in here. You know, so it just gives you another storage space if you want it. These are the offset blocks. Call them the offset blocks, because what they're going to do is they've already got the dimples set in place, and you're going to be, after it's, here, we'll turn to the other side here, that's already seamed. These are basically going to be mounting. Let me check this in here first. Alright, so there's little dimples in here already. Okay, if you notice, one's a little closer to the edge, one's a little bit further away. See, that's kind of hard. I guess you'd have to measure that. Same thing on here, so that actually it lines it up so it's in there perfectly. Then if you line up the bottom of the block with the bottom of your of the belt piece there, it'll give the positioning for your belt just where it needs to be, so that it's just above the ridge here and sits just above the belt there. So then nobody has to have their belt, I mean, belt boxes sort of here or whatever. They're all going to be in the exact same place.
And it's permanently attached?
Yeah. I just oh yeah. So that's the other thing. So you're gonna drill through here. The top screw helps hold it in place. The bottom screw is gonna go through this piece, and that's gonna mount right about there. So the bottom screw is gonna go through the block, through that, and then that's what's gonna hold your thighs. I don't have the screws. It's just your comment. Probably like, 6 and 30 seconds screw, maybe about a inch and a quarter, inch and a half, somewhere around there. What I would recommend though is for this bottom one here, get one of those large washers that has a real small hole, and that'll help make sure that you sandwich the strap here pretty good. That's pretty much it as far as how the belt, how the boxes connect to the belt. So that little bit of offset there. If you notice in the film, it always looks like their belt boxes are floating. Mm-hmm. So that's why I kind of created that offset block there. Alright, so together here. Alright, what else do we want to cover here? So that basically that's the upper torso. Any questions on kind of the upper torso? Lower ab? We need to get a little bit more detailed into the chest and the back, right? Okay.